So anyway, to go back to the Ark of the Covenant, Aaron built the Ark of the Covenant, and in order to contain the covenant, which was the 5 scroll books that were given to Moses and the 2 tablets of stone with the 10 commandments on. So that was the covenant. The covenant is a contract between God and the people, the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, and in it contains blessings for keeping it and curses, which are the penalty clauses for not keeping it. And all of that was kept in the Ark of the Covenant. So the Ark of the Covenant contains the law, statutes, judgments, economic policy, agricultural policy, the healthy, balanced diet, the history of the tribes of Israel, and the tablets of stone.
Okay, so that, how long after that the Ark of the Covenant was created was it that it was placed in Solomon's temple?
Well, they went through the wilderness for 40 years,
right,
carrying the stone on the pole and also carrying
the
Ark of the Covenant for 40 years. And then eventually, under King David, they had what was known as the tabernacle, which is also described in the Old Testament, which was made with cloth and curtains and frames, like a tent type of thing. And then eventually Solomon built, King David's son Solomon built the temple on Mount Moriah in Jerusalem, and the Ark was placed inside what was known as the Holy of Holies. The temple itself, the outer court of the temple, is known as the Holy Place, but the inner sanctum is known as the Holy of Holies, and that's where the Ark of the Covenant was kept. And that is the Holy of Holies, that particular spot, because that was where, hundreds of years previously, Abraham had built an altar to sacrifice his son Isaac. Okay, so that place, Abraham with his son Isaac sanctified that place as the holiest place on earth.
And this is
and that's where that was where the Holy of Holies inside Solomon's temple was built, over that spot, and that's where the Ark of the Covenant was placed.
Right. Tell us what the name of that, of the stone.
It's
the correct name of the stone.
It's known as Jacob's Pillar.
Jacob's Pillar.
But the stone became the throne of David, and King David, King Solomon, his son Rehoboam, and all the descendants, all of the monarchs descended from David, were crowned on that stone, on Bethel, Jacob's Pillar.
And how many years what are you talking about? Hundreds of years?
Well, yeah. David was around about 1000 BC, and the temple was destroyed in 588. King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon destroyed the temple in 588 BC. And Jeremiah the Bible prophet took the stone from the temple and the Ark of the Covenant and some of the treasures from the temple, golden treasures, put them in the Ark. Not the stone in the Ark.
Not the stone in the Ark.
But the other stuff.
Right.
And took the king's daughters and some other people down into Tanis in Egypt. And that's why the film Raiders of the Lost Ark begins in Tanis in Egypt, looking for the Ark of the Covenant. And when they got to Tanis in Egypt, the Pharaoh, who had been an ally of King Zedekiah of Jerusalem against King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, gave Jeremiah and gave the daughters of Zedekiah, the princesses, gave them a palace at Tanis, and the remains of it are still there today. It's known in Arabic as Qasir bint al-Yahudi, which means the palace of the daughters of Judah. And they lived there for a number of years until Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon had pacified Judea. What he did was he destroyed the temple, and he took all of the inhabitants, apart from a very small remnant who could be like caretakers of the land. He took the majority of them into Babylon as slaves. So they were told to leave, and they left Tanis in Egypt. And they got a ship from Tanis and sailed through the Mediterranean.
This is with the stone and the Ark?
With the stone and the Ark of the Covenant.
Right, so
yeah.
this is where...
And the king's eldest daughter, who was called Teotefi.
So it comes up from Egypt to the Mediterranean.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I interviewed a historian called Alan Wilson, and he believes that, you know, that the Ark came up to, he believes that it ended up in Wales after it came up, so, you know, from the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
So take it from there as to what research you've done as to where you think it was taken.
It came through the Straits of Gibraltar. They stopped at Gibraltar for 5 months, changed ships, and then eventually, because they had to wait for the weather and the currents and things, and they sailed up and they stopped off in northern Spain and spent some time there.
Can I just interrupt you there, Muad'Dib? You know, it seems likely that the Ark of the Covenant could be in the British Isles if the Stone of Destiny ended up here.
Absolutely.
And the two were supposedly together.
Yeah.
What's the evidence that they were moved together? I mean, what documentation actually explains this, that they were kept together out of Israel? Sorry, out of Egypt.
Out of Egypt.
Is that accepted knowledge?
It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible that the pillar and the ark were there.
Right.
At the time of Jeremiah. So we can discount the theory that the Ark of the Covenant is in Axum, in Ethiopia. Okay.
So it comes up to Northern Europe.
Yes.
Tell us what happens then. Did it land in Cornwall, or you believe?
First of all, yes. They when they were sailing from Spain and they were heading for Ireland, a storm blew up for a week and broke the oars and the rudder, and they couldn't steer the boat, so that only God could steer the boat. And he steered the boat where he wanted it to go, which was into Penzance Bay. In Penzance Bay there's an island, a small island that you can walk out to at low tide, called St. Michael's Mound, and next to it on the shore is a small town called Marazion. Well,
Marazion.
Marazion, yes, exactly.
Zion.
Yeah. Well, the ruler of Cornwall at that time was called Elatha, and they knew that they were part of the 10 lost tribes of Israel, and that Britain, including Ireland, at that time, the descendants of Dan, who was one of the 12 tribes of Israel, the father of one of the 12 tribes of Israel, had populated Ireland, the Danites. And in Ireland they were known as the Tuatha De Danann, which means the tribe of Dan. Okay, but in Cornwall, Elatha was the ruler there, and they knew that they were Israelites. And when Jeremiah, and the boat was blown into their location, and Jeremiah, and she had then become the queen. Teotefi was the elder daughter of King Zedekiah of Jerusalem. But once he had, and his sons had all been killed, they all died in Babylon, she then became the Queen of Israel. And so when Jeremiah and the Queen of Israel, Teotefi, landed at Marazion, they told Elatha about the fall of Jerusalem, the destruction of Solomon's temple, and all that had happened. And he wept bitterly over the fall of Zion. And Mara means bitter, and Zion is Jerusalem. So it means, the word Marazion means bitter over Jerusalem.
Hence the name of that island in Cornwall.
Well, the island is called St. Michael's Mound,
right.
But it's right next to Marazion.
Okay.
And you know, why would a place in Cornwall have a Hebrew name?
Right. Now, after arriving in Cornwall, this party with you believe had the ark and the stone.
Yeah.
Somehow you believe that they then went to Ireland.
Yes, they were headed for Ireland, and so Elatha sent messengers across to Ireland, to Tara, to the High King of Ireland, who was called Eochaid, and asked if they would have safe passage and if they would be looked after once they arrived in Ireland, and that there would be no funny business. And Eochaid, who was the High King of Ireland at Tara, when he got the message, recognized it as the fulfillment of a vision that he'd been given as a small boy. The vision that he was given was that he must not marry, even if he reached middle age, because one day his queen would come from the east. And so Elatha sent an armada of ships and soldiers to make absolutely sure that she was safe. Anyway, she arrived at Tara and she married Eochaid the High King of Ireland.
So can I interrupt there?
In 583
is this, would a classical historian agree with that? Or is that this queen landed in Tara with the stone?
There are legends in Ireland, yes, about this.
Right.
And about an old man coming with a box,
right,
which is the Ark, and a stone, and the princess and all of that, the queen, and the marriage and all of that. Yes, right, that's in the records. And they were married over the coronation stone, the stone of destiny, on the Inauguration Mound at Tara, on the hill of Tara, on the 21st of June of 583 BC. Jeremiah came with the Ark in a separate boat. And in Ireland at that time, there were all little kingdoms, like warlords, and they were all busy fighting each other. There was a war, and the people who wanted God's law implemented in Ireland were vastly outnumbered, but they defeated the others. And once it was safe, then Jeremiah came with the Ark of the Covenant, and they built what we would today term a university on the hill of Tara. It was called the School of the Olam, and there they taught God's law, the Torah, at this university. And all of the major families in Ireland would send their firstborn, their eldest son, to Tara to be taught the Torah, the law. And that's why the hill became known the Hill of the Torah, or Tara. It is now the Hill of Tara, but that's a corruption of the word Torah.
Mm-hmm. And you believe the Ark was put underneath that hill?
Yes, yeah.
Right. And was the stone with the Ark at that point? Or?
No, the stone, well, they were both on the Hill of Tara,
mm-hmm,
of Torah, but the stone was kept on the Inauguration Mound, so
right,
that all of the kings of Ireland could be crowned on it,
mm-hmm,
just as David and Solomon and all
sure,
of their descendants had been crowned on it, including Sheetafi. They made an underground chamber on the Hill of Torah in which to place the Ark of the Covenant for its safety.